What's up, everybody? Kafka here, and today we're talking about the time manipulation build. You can see right here, we are 86% slowed. It takes them a minute to do anything. Look at this guy walk to us. Let's see when he swings. These guys are shooting a little bit faster, but it is slowing down the game, and it is really cool. But we got a lot of questions, right? So we got a lot of questions about the build, and I want to try to answer all those right now. First one I want to talk about is leveling. So I did not level with this build. What I did on the Chronomancer is I went for just Frostwall and Comet, and I leveled all the way up to, I think, geez, probably around 70 something with that. And I probably could have did a little bit better with the different options, but that worked for me. And it was pretty fast. So another method you could do is you could use the Pillar of the Gods, and you could use the staff and stack attributes. So there's a lot of builds with that. Just search for a Pillar of Gods, stacking attribute, leveling build, and you could use that. You could go Spark. If you like Spark, you could go ahead and do that too. But you're not going to be able to level with this build because you need, you know, obviously some gear to make this work. So that's that. So everyone knows, you know, about level 78 is when you could start using this build. All right. So then the passive skill tree. So I had a lot of questions about why do you have certain things red, certain things green on your passive skill tree. So this is in the Max Roll guide, which I'll put the link in the description. You're going to notice that green is for weapon slot 2. And red is for weapons slot 1. I only use 11 of each or something like that. 11 and 12. So the only thing that weapon slot 2 is for is actually for time freeze. So if you go into time freeze, you'll see that time freeze is almost 11 seconds or almost 8 seconds. So it's about 4-second difference or 3-second difference. So that's the only thing I'm using it for. And then I only do damage when I'm on weapon swap 2 or 1. So whenever you're doing any type of damage, whether it's Frostwall or you're doing your Ice Nova, you need to be on weapon swap 2. Anointment. So I had a lot of questions about this actually too. So you can see on my Everlasting Gaze, it is time manipulation. So you could do this, just so you guys know. You could search for time manu, and that will search for time manipulation. And it is right here. I put manipulation, but when you spell it all out and you do it in quotations, it will glow. See how it's glowing right there? I can't zoom in any more than that, but that's glowing. And this is increasing slow magnitude. So that's really good. So anything you want to find. So if you just want to find stuff with speed, you type in speed. And now everything that has speed on it will show up. So parentheses, sorry for my console gamers, but PC's better. So you can see movement speed. If I go in here, step like mist, I could get movement speed. All right. So on Act 3 and 3 Cruel rewards, I got a lot of questions about that. Well, I don't like to tell you what to do, but if you're only playing this build, then the two best things would be stun threshold and attributes. Because I am using CI, but if you ever switch to a build on this character that needs chaos resist, then you'd wish you had it. So I don't like to tell people what to get in this, but stun threshold and attributes would be the best for this build. You don't have to though. I'm currently using a lot of spirit, 412. That is a question I got a lot about. You didn't tell us if we need all this spirit. Well, I bought this very cheap. So this actually was a cheap item. It did not cost a lot, and I bought this when it was probably 25 exalt, and I have 77 spirit on it, and it has 23 strength. So I only need 36 strength for this item. So that's why I'm getting a lot of spirit. Also, I switched over to the Howl armor cap. This thing costs probably about 80 exalt. This gives 100 spirit, and it also gives the presence radius, which allows the temporal chains and the enfeeble to spread from a further distance. So that's really good. And then I also have on the gloves, corrupted debuffs you inflict have a 20% increased slow magnitude. That is huge. So if you could find a pair of gloves like this, that is really good. I don't know if you could get this anywhere else, that buff, but that's really good. This does not help the build in terms of how high of percentage the amount of slow magnitude you get. So it does not help the build in terms of that. Yes, it gives you more mana. This helps a lot with the mana. You could get more mana other places too. And then if you don't have one of these, an ingenuity belt, just wear a regular mana belt and then get your resist up. All right, how do I have energy shield? That is a very common question. So this right here, gain 30% of mana is maximum energy shield. So I'm getting mana or energy shield from my mana. I actually don't have any. If I took this off, I would have none because I am using Eldritch Battery. But when I take off the Everlasting Gaze, yes, it does take away all my energy shield. But when you put it back on, you could get these pretty cheap too. You just have to find one that's not corrupted if you want to get time manipulation on it. So I think I got this one for like 25 Exalt. Cool. How much does this build cost? Oh my gosh. How much does it cost? Is this 200 divine? No. So, like I said, you don't have to have an ingenuity belt. It's not required. So you could probably get a staff like this under divine, or a weapon like this under divine, because nobody used cold. You could get, these rings are probably a little bit more expensive. They're probably about 1 divine each. This is about 1 divine. So now we're up to about 3.5 divine. These gloves, if you get the slow magnitude on, probably about divine 4.5. Boots, you could get your own boots. Those are cheap. We'll just say that's 3.75. This is about 1 divine. So we're sitting about 5 to 6 divine without the ingenuity belt. I'm not going to count it. I got super lucky with this. This is not going to happen every season, or 80% ingenuity is not going to happen often. So I just got uber lucky with this one. So I would say 5 to 6 divine. You could put this build together without the jewels. So the jewels are going to cost you a little bit more. You're probably going to spend about 50 Exalt on all the jewels each. So now we're up to about 8 to 10. And I think I said that in the original video. You know, your jewels are going to cost a little bit more. So now we're up to about 8 to 10 divine for the build. So pretty cool build for that price. All right, let's talk about how much damage does my comet do. People are asking questions about my comet. Well, I'll show you actually. So my comet does 60,000 before the crit, which is pretty good. It's actually really good. And that's because of Archmage. These are the gems I'm using. Again, considered casting, elemental focus, inspiration, and spell echo. So that's what I'm using. And it does really good damage. Some people said they couldn't get past 35k. I'm not sure what the reason was, but pretty much I could just clear trash with using Frostwall. And then if that comes out, it's just a plus. But there's my little dudes, man. 86% slowed, 43% less damage. Whatever, I'll take a couple hits just to show it off. But this is it, man. This is totally slowing down the game. I already talked about time swap or weapon swap on time freeze. It is faster just because of the green passive notes. So increase effect duration. That's what affects your time freeze. Increase skill effect duration, all that stuff. That's all increasing it. All right, so I got asked the question while I was playing after the patch. Does this work with the new patch 1.1? Well, yes, it does. This is actually definitely the patch 1.1. And we just run around in circles around mobs. And they're not fast enough to get to us. And then when we decide we want to kill them, we just put up a bunch of frost walls. And we can do that. And if I want, I can use Temporal Rift to go backwards, and that will reset my mana. So having a ton of mana doesn't really matter. If I did get a Sapphire ring that says Dream Fragments on it, this build would be even crazier in terms of damage. Because the damage isn't crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I have a lot of builds on my Stormweaver that do a lot more damage. This is just fun, unique, and different. And it's safe. It feels safe. I feel like I could level up a little bit slower, but I could level up with this guy, no problem. All right, how do I apply more than one curse? This question came up a lot, and it's simply as getting Whispers of Doom. I think I had that on my build guide. I really do. And a lot of people were commenting, asking this question, do I have it? So let's see if in real time, did I make a mistake, guys? Because I was getting that question a lot. Possibly Health could be making mistakes. Oh, I didn't have it. I apologize, guys. It was not there. So that is 100% my fault. You need Whispers of Doom. I will save that. And now it will say the correct thing. My bad. It's there now. All right, and then what gives more mana? So a couple things give more mana. So if you look at your Everlasting Gaze, so this converts, gain 30% of maximum mana, is maximum energy shield. I'm sorry. This converts mana to energy shield, and this converts all energy shield to mana. So if out this, I'll have a lot less mana, Eldritch Battery. So you could get percent increase on mana on the tree. Eventually I'm going to get the 5% here. There's mana regain in a lot of different places on the map. This says 4% increased mana. So you got to play around with it to see what works. You don't have to copy a skill tree to the perfect amount. You just have to get the base things that make the build work, and then you play around with it. You might find something better than me, right? You know, I'm just playing around with it and seeing. I change this very often. When I'm playing a build, I don't keep it the same. I change things all the time just to see what's going to be a little bit better. How could I improve it? Things like that. So those are the most frequent questions I got about the build. Obviously, it is a lot of fun, and I'm hoping you guys are trying it out and enjoy it yourself. But if you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. I'd love to answer them, and talk to you later. Thank you, guys.